The January sky over the Rocky Mountains was a bleak, oppressive gray, threatening a fresh onslaught of snow. Maya Wilson, a 12-year-old girl with long, dark hair and deep brown eyes, carefully followed her father, Dr. David Wilson, along a snow-covered trail. David, a dedicated biologist, had devoted his life to studying the impact of climate change on the mountain's wildlife. Maya, of mixed heritage, part Caucasian, part Blackfeet Native American, inherited her father's scientific curiosity and, from her grandmother, a tribal elder, a profound connection to nature. "Watch your step, Maya," David cautioned, his voice barely audible above the whistling wind. "Avalanche conditions are high today." Maya nodded, her gaze fixed on the towering cliffs where icy overhangs clung precariously like sharpened blades. They had been hiking for hours, recording air temperature and humidity levels and observing animal tracks in the snow. Their goal was to gather data on the state of the grizzly bear population, a species increasingly threatened by habitat loss and climate change. Suddenly, Maya stopped, pointing ahead. "Dad, look!" David squinted in the direction Maya indicated. At the bottom of a deep ice crevice, they spotted a small, brown object struggling weakly. As they approached cautiously, horror dawned on their faces. It was a grizzly bear cub, barely weeks old, trapped in the icy depths. "Oh, dear God," David whispered, his voice choked with emotion. "I can't imagine how long it's been stuck down there." Without hesitation, David carefully slid down the icy slope, trying to reach the cub. Maya watched anxiously from above, her father's movements growing increasingly labored in the bone-chilling cold. After a struggle, David finally managed to scoop up the shivering cub. Its eyes were tightly shut, its small body trembling uncontrollably in his arms. "We need to get it back to the center immediately," David said, his voice urgent. "It won't survive much longer out here." With the help of a rescue team and the traditional knowledge passed down from Maya's grandmother, they transported the cub to the Rocky Mountain Wildlife Rehabilitation Center, a facility dedicated to caring for and rehabilitating injured wildlife. At the center, veterinarians quickly assessed the cub's condition. It was suffering from severe hypothermia and had several minor injuries. The worst news came when they discovered that its mother had perished trying to save it from an avalanche. "It's a tragedy," Dr. Emily Carter, the center's director, said with a heavy heart. "But we'll do everything we can to save it." Maya, with her compassionate heart and boundless love for animals, begged for permission to care for the cub. Dr. Carter, after careful consideration, agreed. Maya was tasked with feeding the cub, keeping it warm, and talking to it. "We'll name him Storm," Maya said, gently stroking the cub's soft fur, "because he came to us during a blizzard." Storm, though tiny, seemed to understand Maya's words. He snuggled into her arms, emitting soft, whimpering sounds. Maya knew she had found a special friend. In the days that followed, Maya spent every spare moment with Storm. She fed him milk formula, played with him, and told him ancient Blackfeet stories about the bond between humans and bears. Maya believed Storm could understand the stories and that they would help him feel safe and loved. Maya's grandmother, a wise and experienced woman, also visited Storm frequently. She taught Maya how to communicate with Storm through body language and how to read the subtle signs in his behavior. "Bears are sacred creatures," her grandmother said. "They possess a strong spirit and deep wisdom. You must respect them and learn from them." Maya took her grandmother's teachings to heart. She knew that Storm was not just a bear, but also part of a vast and intricate natural world. Time passed, and Storm grew quickly. From a small and fragile cub, he transformed into a healthy and energetic grizzly bear. Maya remained by Storm's side, witnessing every step of his development. When Storm began to walk, Maya helped him balance. When Storm began to explore the world around him, Maya took him for walks in the forest near the center. When Storm began to learn how to hunt, Maya taught him how to find food and avoid danger. The bond between Maya and Storm deepened with each passing day. They understood each other without words. Storm always knew when Maya was sad and would try to comfort her. Maya always knew when Storm needed help and was always there for him. The experts at the center were amazed by this extraordinary connection. They had never seen such a relationship between a human and a wild animal. Maya has a remarkable ability to connect with animals, Dr. Carter said. She has a compassionate heart and boundless patience. Storm is lucky to have her. However, the experts were also concerned about Maya's safety. Storm was a grizzly bear, a dangerous wild animal. They feared that Storm might inadvertently injure Maya in a moment of exuberance. "We have to be careful," David said. "Storm is still a wild bear. We can't forget that." The experts established strict safety regulations. Maya was only allowed to interact with Storm under adult supervision, and she had to maintain a safe distance from him at all times. Maya understood their concerns, but she couldn't stop loving Storm. She believed that Storm would never hurt her. As Storm grew older, he began to exhibit natural, wild behaviors. He started digging dens, climbing trees, and practicing hunting. The experts knew that it was time for Storm to return to the wild. "We can't keep Storm here forever," David said. "He needs to live the life of a wild bear." Maya understood this, but she couldn't help feeling sad. She didn't want to say goodbye to Storm. "I know," Maya said, her voice choked with emotion, "but I'm going to miss him so much." The experts planned a careful reintroduction process. Storm would be transferred to a semi-wild area of Yellowstone National Park, where he would be introduced to other bears and learn how to survive in the wild. Maya was allowed to visit Storm in the semi-wild area, but she had to maintain a safe distance and was not allowed to have direct contact with him. "This is what's best for Storm," David said. "You have to accept that." Maya tried to accept it, but her heart ached. She knew that Storm's life would be better in the wild, but she couldn't stop missing the days they had spent together. Meanwhile, another threat was looming. A large logging company was pressuring the government to expand its operations into the grizzly bear's natural habitat. They claimed that logging would create jobs and boost the local economy. David and Maya, along with other conservationists, strongly opposed the plan. They argued that logging would destroy the bear's habitat and push them to the brink of extinction. "We have to protect these bears," David said. "They are an important part of our ecosystem." Maya, with the support of her grandmother, organized protests and wrote letters to lawmakers. She became a passionate advocate for animal rights and environmental protection. The legal battle against the logging company lasted for months. David and Maya gathered scientific evidence and eyewitness testimony to prove that logging would harm the grizzly bears. In the end, the court ruled in favor of the logging company. Maya and David were devastated. "We lost," David said, his voice filled with sadness. "But we're not giving up." Maya, encouraged by her grandmother, decided to continue the fight. She knew they had to do everything they could to protect the grizzly bears. One night, during a fierce blizzard, Storm, now a fully grown bear, unexpectedly broke through the fence of the semi-wild area and escaped. The experts were frantic. "We have to find him before he causes any trouble," David said, "or before someone hurts him." Maya, without hesitation, decided to go look for Storm. She knew that Storm might be in danger, and she had to help him. Maya, equipped with a flashlight and some food, followed Storm's tracks into the deep forest. The blizzard was intensifying, making travel extremely difficult. After hours of searching, Maya finally found Storm. He was standing on a hill, protecting a group of cubs from poachers. The poachers, armed with guns and traps, were trying to capture the cubs to sell to private zoos. Storm had been fighting bravely to protect the cubs, but he had been wounded. Maya, without fear, rushed into the fight. She threw rocks at the poachers and shouted loudly to attract their attention. The poachers, surprised by Maya's appearance, turned to attack her. Storm, seeing Maya in danger, flew into a rage. He charged at the poachers, knocking them to the ground. With Maya's help and Storm's strength, The poachers were defeated and forced to flee. The cubs were safe. Maya, hugging Storm tightly, felt overwhelmed with happiness. She knew that their friendship had saved the cubs' lives. The next morning, when the blizzard had subsided, the rescue team arrived and took Maya and Storm back to the center. The poachers were arrested and faced justice. The story of Maya and Storm spread throughout the country. People praised Maya's courage and love for wildlife. But Maya knew that it was time for Storm to return to the wild. She couldn't keep him with her forever. In a traditional Blackfeet ceremony, Maya officially said goodbye to Storm. She sang ancient songs and prayed for Storm's safety and happiness. Storm, seemingly understanding Maya's words, looked at her with sad eyes. He gently touched her hand with his nose as a final thank you. Then Storm turned and walked into the deep forest. Maya stood there, watching his silhouette until he disappeared completely. 10 years later, Maya became a renowned animal rights and environmental activist. She founded Project Storm, a conservation organization that combines modern science and indigenous knowledge to protect grizzly bears and their habitat. During a survey in Yellowstone, Maya encountered Storm again, now a powerful grizzly bear with healthy cubs. Although she couldn't approach him as she once had, the look they exchanged still contained the deep friendship they had shared. The story of Maya and Storm became part of the environmental education program at Yellowstone, inspiring young people about the importance of protecting wildlife and their natural habitats. Maya knew that Storm had found happiness in the wild and that their friendship had created a lasting legacy. She would continue to fight to protect grizzly bears and other wildlife, to ensure that they have a bright future. She understood that the call of the wilderness still echoed in her heart, urging her to continue her journey to protect her wild friends. And in every grizzly bear freely roaming the Rocky Mountains, she would always see a part of Storm, her friend of the snow,